Hello everybody, welcome back again, and today we are doing something with what we see right here. No, we are doing a pedestrian slash cyclist highway, so we can see right now it's pretty popular, my walking track right there, and you can see all of the people walking around there, and like they're waiting for the public transport, and it just creates a lot more connectability. So this whole video I'm just going to be doing a lot of pathways everywhere, a lot of cycling pathways as well, and I'm trying to connect it up to most areas, like although the whole city isn't complete yet, so I can't exactly do a full pedestrian slash cyclist highway just yet, but I start to do that now, so starting to implement that whole design, and then eventually when the city's done, then I'll finish off the whole the construction of this. But we're just getting started now with this, so just a couple of little, like, in case you're not really familiar with walkability in general, it's something that is really highly talked about in the whole town planning community, the whole town planning world. So there's so many studies about walkability and the impact it has on a community. It's very beneficial to a community, so it can really provide a lot of like economic benefits and also environmental benefits, health benefits. So for example, a town can benefit by just the presence of sidewalks and other walking facilities. It helps increase property value. It can also promote tourism. If the sidewalks are like well maintained, it kind of just creates a better atmosphere. It just creates a better network overall as well, and it kind of can help with safety as well, like getting from like one side of the road to the other. So instead of waiting at a crossing to cross, so you might just do a bridge straight over the whole intersection, so that's obviously going to be a lot more safer. And then so having a lot of pathways everywhere that go, like, I don't know, they might go over the river, over the road, over, I don't know, trees, I don't know. It just helps connect it up to like local shops, businesses, restaurants, etc. And yeah, so then in terms of environmental benefits, walking and biking can obviously decrease car dependency, decreases car travel. It also, just having pathways everywhere, it just really encourages you. And so of course, back to environmental impacts, of course less car usage is better for the environment because of all the emissions from the car as well. So, and I can really give an example about the impact of pathways for myself, because I recently just moved to a new city. I live in Brisbane now, and along the river there's actually a lot of bike paths everywhere, and the bike paths, they're so easy to use. They glide straight along the river, they go over over the river, they connect to the city, they go over the highway, under roads, etc. And as soon as I moved here, I was like, wow, this is really encouraging. So, and I really wasn't that super interested. I didn't really think I was going to do a lot of like walking or cycling once I moved here, but now that I've moved here, I've done so much just because it's really encouraged me. And that's just like what I'm trying to say here is, like, when you have pathways so accessible to so many different facilities in a city, it really does encourage you so much. And a lot of people probably don't even realize that it really just does encourage you, and you don't actually think about it. So if you're a tourist, you might see all the pathways, and that will be quite beneficial to you, because like it will just, like, you're out in the open instead of being in a car driving around. You get to experience the city more. And then you can also think about like social issues as well. Like, there's so many different types of benefits from walkability that we learnt in university, but I'm just covering like the basics. So like in terms of social, you can think of it like creating a sense of community as well. So you're getting amongst the people, you're getting out and about. So for residents, it can be like a safe, walkable environment, can provide like opportunities for people of all ages and disabilities to stay socially connected and engaged overall, if that kind of makes sense. So yeah, it's quite a beneficial thing. A lot of people probably don't really think about the whole impact, but walkability and cyclist paths, there's something that I was really striving to do in my city overall. Like, I really wanted to implement it and just see how many people I could really get to use. The only thing I wish I could know was what would be like the difference had I not put in pathways? Like, would it be a huge difference in the game, or would it be quite similar amount of cars still used? So it's hard to say really, but so yeah, it's something that I was really striving to do in my game. And like we saw right at the start of this video, I done that close-up of the shot, and then also a couple of videos ago as well with the TOD development. I started with a close-up of that bridge that leads from the TOD area towards the city, and you can see it's super used just because it's really convenient for them to go around. So yeah, I feel like I'm rambling a lot right now, but I really do like walkability, and a lot of you guys make fun of that whole aspect of me liking walkability and liking trees, but you guys, like, I'm yeah, it's kind of funny how much I do vouch for those two things, trees and walkability, but they're really beneficial, and they're really something that is just the way of the future. And even if you're going to make fun of me, it's something that's really implemented anyway. I just happen to talk about it a lot more than you actually realize it's happening in real life. So, but maybe once you see this video and hear me talking about it, maybe you'll notice it even more in general. So yeah, it's really common throughout cities now. It's really being encouraged, so you could keep a lookout for that, and you might surprise yourself what you find. So okay, so I'm back again. I'm gonna start blubbering on again. I thought I'd just mention maybe just some more facts about walkability in general, just some more positive things about that I can think of off the top of my head. So, like, at the start of this video, I gave the more very generic introduction of walkability, but I figured for you guys that have actually stuck around a bit longer, I thought I'd dig into walkability a bit more. I've actually wrote some notes of like the different things that I could tell you guys. So another good thing is that it can make neighborhoods spark urban regeneration. Like, for example, you might have a river that is very like it's kind of like a just wasted space. You have just a lot of, I don't know, it's hard to explain, just like a wasted space area, and then if you put in a pathway, that can really encourage and lead to more investment in that area, so it might spark a whole urban movement in that area. So that's something that they really try to do all over the world. So for example, you might have an old factory or something, and then you put some pathways around it, make a nice urban green area. That will actually encourage a lot of urban growth economically. Another positive is, well, of course, it's going to reduce congestion, of course, but then if you dig deeper into that issue, if you're encouraging more walkability, then it's going to decrease the amount of upkeep of certain roads. So because roads can be really expensive to upgrade, and so if you're encouraging more walkability and more cycling, then fixing up pathways are a lot more cheaper than fixing up a whole road system. So it can kind of build more engagement as well. So as people start to spend more time like outside in the neighborhood because of the pathways, they're more likely to feel more engaged to the city. They might get more just encouraged to do like sports maybe, or to I don't know, it just encourages people to get out more. I know it really has encouraged me to do a lot more. I walk to so many more places now, and it can really, it can kind of make, how do I explain that? It makes cities more competitive because it can make, because cities are always competing, like who's the best city. So if you have a lot of pathways, then of course it's going to create a more healthier lifestyle, and then overall you might live longer. So that's something that is quite appealing, and I think Melbourne is one of the most livable cities in the world. I know it is in Australia, but so I'm sure they must do a lot of pathways, so that really encourages a lot of healthier lifestyle, I suppose. As I was mentioning earlier, you might have bridges as well, so pedestrian infrastructure can like reconnect parts of the city that may have been disconnected by older infrastructure. So it's just really connecting it up again. And then of course it really encourages public transport as well. So, and of course using public transport is less carbon emissions from your own personal car. Like you can fit, let's just say 30 people in one bus, whereas you might just fit one person in one car, and it's going to create a lot more emissions. So it's just more efficient if people were to use public transport more, and of course it encourages less driving, so, and more foot traffic. And then so a lot of the time when you have pathways, what comes with the pathway is you'll have a lot of green spaces added, so a lot of landscaping, a lot of public arts, a lot of other, I don't know, maybe street markets might come along. It really creates a lot of depth to the city, a lot of beautification to the city, and depending on the type of pathway, but since there's going to be a lot of green space that comes with the pathway, that really helps manage water, surprisingly. So flooding is a big issue in urban areas, and also urban heat islands. So what I mean by urban heat island is if you just have a lot of concrete, of course it's going to be really, really hot. So when you have a lot of pathways, you have a lot of urban green space, a lot of trees, a lot of grass. So then all of the grass and trees, that helps reduce the heat that cools the whole area in general, because cities overall are about something crazy like 4 degrees hotter than the surrounding areas. So, and then in terms of flooding, if you have a lot of green space, then the flood water can easily just go into the green space instead of building up onto like the road or like a cement area. So these are probably issues that you don't really think about in the game, but I'm just saying more if you're still interested. So like I was mentioning, it can create urban heat islands or microclimates, so that's why you have a lot of street trees. So when you have a lot of street trees, that really encourages a higher value of, for example, residential areas next to the street trees, or a lot of street trees will be in front of like really fancy shops as well, assuming it's well maintained. So, and then the street trees will of course reduce the noise levels, and it also just encourages more because it's creating more shade as well. It can also, a lot of the street trees, so this, of course, the street trees comes with the pathways, so it can reduce air pollution as well, so that can just make it a lot more pleasant as well. And then if you get to the point where so many people are preferring to cycle or to walk, it's going to minimize land use. So sidewalks and bike paths are more compact than roads. They also enable people to easily live in denser neighborhoods and like traditional car-dependent suburbs, if that makes sense. And then so of course it's going to shrink congestion and increase land value. It might attract a certain type of people, like a classy, creative type of people, I don't know. Maybe more investment, more tourists, like I mentioned as well. And yeah, it can just help create the city's identity, I think. There's one major issue that I forgot to mention, and that's making it more safe. And what I mean by that, it's this term that we have in the town planning world. It's like eyes on the street. When you have more people in an area, there's going to be less crime committed usually. So more people seeing you in that area, you're going to feel more safe because you're not going to be there by yourself. It's not going to be really dark. If there's more people, of course, there's going to be more lights. There's going to be more people at night. There's going to be a more well-maintained area. So that's going to completely reduce the amount of crime. If you have, and then if the pathway area and the urban green area is really well maintained, then that's going to attract a certain residential type of developer. So that residential developer will probably want to build high-rise buildings with balconies. So those balconies, from those high-rise buildings, you have the balcony that you can look down onto the pathway. So then that again creates a sense of eyes on the street because you're being watched, again in a non-creepy way. But so yeah, that kind of makes sense. I know I did a whole lot of studies about that in university, and it's something that I never really thought of, but more people in that area creates just a more safer feel. It can reduce the amount of crime overall. So anyway, I'm just going to wrap up the episode here. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really tried to put my insight into the whole walkability aspect because a lot of you guys kind of make fun of me, and I know it's not in a bad way, but I think just because you guys don't really get the importance of it in the town planning world. So it's really important, so I really tried to connect it over a lot of areas, a lot of completely over the road, so it's just a lot more connected. Hopefully it becomes quite used overall, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye for now.